So we all know that Kodak's raising their prices in January, which means less people are going to be shooting film. So I thought it'd be kind of fun in this video to kind of emulate Portra 400, which is one of Kodak's most popular film stock. So a few weeks ago I went up to a small town and I took a couple pictures on Portra 400 as well as raw files along with it. So we're going to try and match it as close as possible. Okay, so this is a photo taken on Portra 400. I also have the raw file here. And you can see that there's a big drastic difference here. We're going to compare them. So you can see that the raw file is definitely a little more sharper, has more highlight detail and more shadow detail too. And you can see the Portra 400 scan, it's a little bit more warmer, and the raw file is definitely a more cooler tone. Okay, so we can get started and try and emulate Portra 400 on this digital photo. So first off, I'm just gonna crop this photo because it was taken on a wider lens. So I think that should be about right. So I think we can start off by raising the exposure. So I'm gonna raise the highlights, and the thing with film is that highlights are usually much brighter, but usually the highlights are never truly white. So I'm gonna bring down the whites as well. So I'm gonna brighten this up and bring down the whites. I'm gonna warm this photo up as well. And we can apply what is called a film curve, and basically that just means lowering the whites and applying an S curve. So we can already see that it makes a huge difference in tone, and it's a little bit more film-like. So we can see we've added in much more contrast, and it's a little bit more similar to this photo now. So I'm going to try and work on the colors now. I'm going to warm this up just a bit. The sky is a little bit brighter, so I'm going to add some luminance to the sky. And I'm just going to shift it slightly towards teal. Also, I'm going to add some warmth in the midtones. So we're getting closer. I think we can definitely add some more teal to the sky, and I think the highlights do need to be a little bit warmer. Let's add some warmth to the highlights. And bring the blue back to teal. There's kind of a pinkish hue in the shadows, so we can add that in as well. I think we can add some saturation too. Alright, and let's see. I think we're getting pretty close. The colors is pretty spot on. I think this is a little bit too pink, so I'm gonna make it less saturated. Yeah, I think this guy is pretty close as well. Just gonna fix the shadows here. Okay, I think the colors are pretty spot on now. I think what we need to do now is just to add some texture. If we zoom in closely, we can see that Portra 400 definitely has more grain than the raw file, so I'm just gonna add that in now. So we can go to the effects panel, and I think I'm just gonna raise up to the 30s. Alright. The grain is looking a little bit noisy, so I'm just gonna turn down the roughness. Nice, and that should be pretty close. Okay, so another thing that we can do to make it a little bit more film-like is to kind of reduce the clarity by a little bit. You don't want to go more than 5 under or 5 over, or else it's pretty overpowering. So I'm just going to reduce clarity by 5. And I'm also going to reduce texture by around 11. And film usually has a haze over it, so I'm going to dehaze it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this. I think the colors are pretty similar, so I think we can move on to the next picture. So here is another photo taken on Portra 400. You can see it has a little bit of green shadows, has a lot of grain in the shadows as well. I also took the raw file here too. Yeah, I think the whole photo needs to be a little bit brighter. Instead of redoing everything, I'm just gonna copy the same settings from the last photo, and then we can use that as a starting point. And paste. Okay, so that's definitely too warm. I'm gonna warm that up. Okay, that looks about right. Let's quickly compare these. We're definitely gonna need to change the color of the grass, since film tends to desaturate the green tones, so we can do that as well. Okay, so I'm just warming up the highlights. I'm gonna gain some of the highlight detail back. And I'm also going to desaturate the greens. Right now the grass is quite yellow tone, so I'm going to try and shift it more towards green. And let's quickly compare. I think the greens are quite saturated there, so I'm going to desaturate it. And I'm going to bring up the luminance as well. That's looking a bit better. It's a bit more controlled. I'm going to bring up the highlights again. And the whole photo can be a little bit brighter. And I'm just going to warm it up a bit. So far, I think we're looking pretty close. I think we can definitely add more grain to this. Just gonna keep playing around with it until I get it right. I think the luminance of the sun here needs to be a little bit brighter. And yeah, that should be pretty close. So here we can see the before and after. So definitely a big difference there, but it definitely adds a lot more character to the photo. So lastly, I have this photo here that I took of a movie theater. And I really like this photo because it reminds me of like the 80s, the 90s. And yeah, I'm going to try and recreate it. I also have the raw file here again. And it definitely doesn't look anything like it. So we're going to fix that. And let's start by applying the same thing as our last photo. Okay. Not bad. I'm also going to adjust the crop here. That looks a little bit better. I'm going to warm up this photo. I think it's definitely a little bit more magenta right now, so I'm going to add some yellow to the highlights. So I added yellow to the highlights, but it's completely changed the color of the sky, so I'm going to try and fix that. I'm going to add a little bit of luminance to the sky. I think the green is definitely a bit much here, so I'm going to reduce the size here. That looks a little bit better. So far, I really like this. I really like the colors in this photo. You can see the before and after. The characteristics of Portra 400 definitely brings this photo to life. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. You can definitely see the big difference there when trying to edit it to look like Portra 400, and I honestly love the look of Portra 400, so I always try and emulate my digital photos to look like film. So yeah, this was a really fun activity, and hopefully maybe this can inspire some of you guys to kind of keep that film characteristics on your photos, even if you can't keep shooting film because of the price increase. Anyways, yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.